Hey folks, I'm Scotty Roberts. I'm the writer and illustrator of The Sword and the Clay, and I'm here to tell you a bit about this book and also about our publisher, Manitou Free Traders Press, purveyor of fine historical books for children and adults. Now, about the book, The Sword and the Clay is the true story of Will Byrd, a Canadian 42nd Battalion soldier who went to war in World War I, and in 1917, after the bombardment of Amiens, France, in all the trenches and the craters and the churned up mud and clay, he finds an old sword, and then learns later that the sword is dated back to Julius Caesar's Gallic Wars that took place in the 50s BCE. So it's a 2,000-year-old sword. That sword is still in the museum in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And now, the story of Will Byrd is a true history, and there's a lot of history surrounding every part of that story. But then you also have the very interesting anecdotal personal side of this story. After the war, Will Byrd wrote his memoirs of his experiences in World War I, and he includes a couple of ghost stories. They're stories of his brother who had died a couple of years earlier, and he believes saved his life at Vimy Ridge. And so there is that part of the story. Now there's also the fictional side of the story, which is we don't know anything about the man who owned the sword in the first place, the Roman soldier. So I've created a man named Marius Abruzzo and his two brothers who join him in fighting for Julius Caesar in the Gallic Wars back 2,000 years ago. And it's his sword that we find in the story. Now, while that part of the story is made up, it's fictional, it's plausible, and we stick to the history, and we tell the history of the particular battle that took place at Samara-Brive, which is the old name for Amiens in France. And so this is what makes this story interesting. Now, Manitou Free Traders Press is a company that is going to start producing more and more of this kind of book. Books focused on our history, the stories of us, the stories of our past, the stories of really the human story. And it's all how we all connect by learning more about our pasts, by connecting to each other, by growing and going into our future, having known more about our pasts. And so what we would like you to do, what I'd like you to do, is I've hopefully inspired you and enchanted you a bit and encourage you to go over to the right-hand column, take a look at the rewards, pre-order your book, which is going to press very soon and should be out in May of this year. And so you can pre-order the book, you can see the other rewards and see some of the other things you can get. You can also help support Manitou Free Traders Press in their efforts to put out good books for kids and adults. And I want to thank you in advance.